Good afternoon. I'm James Clark, the executive chef of Carolina Crossroads restaurant at the Carolina Inn. And it's October, it's fall, it's getting chilly outside, the leaves are starting to turn. And October, as you know, has an R in that month, so that means it's oyster time. And this is really one of my favorite dishes to do. It's a crispy oyster that's going to be with a country ham and leek reduction. And then we're going to top it with a little bit of artichoke relish. And first what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making the country ham and leek reduction. And what I do is start this by cutting and washing some leeks. And then I'm just going to quickly give it a simple dice, like so. I'm going to start to sweat that with just a little bit of olive oil. Whoop, a little bit of olive oil. And first I'm going to start with some garlic, actually, before I put in the leek. I'm going to put in some garlic. And then with the garlic starting to cook, I'm just going to add some leeks to it as well. And I'm going to let that sweat down until it gets nice and soft. So while that's beginning to cook and sweat down, I'm going to add just a little bit of country ham to it. And this is a salt-cured country ham from Johnson County. And now that sort of cured saltiness and fat from the ham is starting to seep out as well and coat the outside of those onions. And that's going to cook down. And while it's sweating, I'm going to add just a little bit of Pernod. And the Pernod has sort of an anise flavor to it. So we're going to allow that to cook that alcohol out just a little bit, and that really strong flavor. And then once that alcohol is cooked out, I'm going to add just a touch of heavy cream to it. And allow that to simmer. And I'm also going to add, for the reduction, just a little bit of cream cheese to that as well. Right into there. And I really wish you could smell that sort of anise flavor that's coming out of this. I'm going to stir that in so it blends well with that. Now while this is still cooking and molding its flavors together and that cream cheese is softening, I'm going to open just a few oysters. These are some nice plump North Carolina oysters, and simply what you're trying to do, you need to get yourself a good oyster knife, because this is kind of a tricky and dangerous proposition sometimes if you're not careful. You got to make sure you got that towel in your hand and you've got a good oyster knife that doesn't have any tangs in it or anything so it would break. So right inside that hinge, you're going to wedge that in there, and then you're just going to simply turn it and open that beautiful oyster that's right inside. I'm going to put the shell to the side, clean a little bit of the shell off, like so. And then I'm going to cut them out and put them right in there with the shell with the other oysters that I've got. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just give the shell just a little bit of a cleaning and save the shell, because that's what we're going to present the oyster in once it's done. So now that I've got my oysters sort of mixed down inside that oyster liquor, and I've got my reduction going and finished cooking, and that cheese is starting to soften up a little bit. It gets just a little bit thick. I like to take a little bit of that oyster liquor and drop it right in there with it for some added flavor. Now we're going to go on and we're going to give the oysters a quick fry. So I put those right into some seasoned flour. No milk, no eggs for oysters, just simply a seasoned flour. They're wet enough already, but that seasoned flour is a little mix of cornmeal and regular all-purpose flour, and then season it with whatever is your favorite thing to use. I got a little bit of Old Bay in here and a little bit of garlic powder as well. I think our oil's nice and hot and ready to go. So after I've dredged those oysters in the flour, I'm just going to drop them right into that hot oil and fry them. And I'm not going to fry them for very long because I don't want them to overcook. So as soon as it takes to get them all in, it's certainly not going to take a lot of time before they're ready to come out. But just when they're about to curl is when I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to let them cool for just a second. While those are cooling, I'm going to start to plate up my oyster dish. So I take a little bit of that country ham leak reduction. And I put it right on the bottom of the shell. Just a little bit, because it's really rich. Now that my oysters are cool to the touch, we're going to put an oyster right on top of each one, like this. And then in my house, every time we have country ham, we always have a little bit of artichoke relish on the side. So I like to top these with just a little bit of artichoke relish, which is made with sunchokes, or the Jerusalem artichoke, right on top of each one. Whoops. There we go. A little on that one, and a little on the last one. All right, perfect. Perfect. So these are some crispy oysters on the half shell with some country ham and leek reduction, topped with just a little bit of sunchoke relish. These are a great dish to have in this fall-like weather that's outside and getting nice and chilly. This is a dish that's on our menu here this fall at Carolina Crossroads, here at the Carolina Inn. I hope you're able to come in and enjoy it or try it at home with your friends and family during this season.